there's a lot of music that many producers have on their hard drive that, could be released and just doesn't get released for a number of reasons. And I think those reasons can vary, between sort of like administrative and emotional and artistic and so on. So I'm curious about how you deal with those kind of struggles on your own and how you're able to let go of music, and maybe that can help other people feel more comfortable with releasing music more regularly.
Yeah, I think that's an extremely valuable question because most musicians need to be able to express themselves in any way, shape, or form, right? Or that's like the pinnacle. That's what music is quintessentially. And if you're not releasing your music, to me, that's pretty frustrating because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to, like, sometimes music is just for me and I get that. But at the same time, I love sharing people, like, all the things I've been thinking, like, tell them about it, being communicative with my art. And I think the main thing is, you've improved this song enough. Now it's time for other people to listen to it. You can just tell yourself that. Or for me, one of my strategies, if I'm working on a song for a long time, is pitching it up or pitching it down just to hear it in a new way. Maybe then I'll be able to see like the frequencies that I'm missing here and there. But it also is just crazy to like listen to like the hyperpop version of your like lo-fi song, if you know what I
mean. Interesting. Right on. Let's talk a little bit about kind of like the different ways that you've released as well, because of these 137 songs, some of them have been released, independently, completely by you. Mm-hmm. And some have been released with a variety of labels. You've released with a lot of the really highly recognized labels in the space. And I'm curious about kind of what you've learned in that process.
Yeah, I think it's really important to, give. And I've talked about this thing with my friend Jacuzzi Jefferson, who's an amazing hip hop guy who I do collaborations with, and that you've done a collaboration with. Mm-hmm. So like basically, indeed, shout out to Jacuzzi. Yeah. It's very important to like give your songs the respect with a release that like, matches up to how cool the chord changes are, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And I think that like releasing independently gives you all the power. It just means that there's a bit more responsibility in terms of like promoting it here. If you want to like get the most like monetary attention out of it, there's many ways you can do it. Sometimes it's just very nice to let a label like promote it themselves by giving them like a cut of royalties. I know some labels that give you like that may take 5% cuts for mastering, 5% for like cover art. And oftentimes that can be a good situation for somebody who doesn't have a lot of resources and they want to or they want to just support the label by giving them a continuing resource. But for me, I'm like, I'm going to work with labels sometimes, but then also release independently so I can get the best of both worlds, because I'm lucky to make that like many tracks. But I do feel like, just read your contracts, try to get as many second opinion, like multiple opinions as you can. And, your music is your voice. So don't let people like shut that voice unless you feel like the advance. I wouldn't say take an advance, actually. I don't like advances personally, but just feel like the business is in your interest in as many decisions as you feel like is realistic or is practical or is advantageous for you in this. It is really like a situational thing. But I have like worked with amazing labels, so I'm very lucky in that regard. No spilling of the tea at this time. But I do think that, like sometimes like labels haven't paid me and that's not been my favorite thing. So just try to like take control in that as much as you can and let me know if I could like provide advice to anybody that is in that situation as well. Like,
I'm curious, when you do go the lane of releasing individually, have there been particular things, tactics, maybe marketing strategies, things that you've done that have helped you be more successful or just be more organized and not have it, because it's one of those, it's an extra job you have to do, like you said, and you also want to keep making music and releasing music and so on, right? Getting it out there and marketing it is part of it. So I'm curious about how you think about it and what you've done that's worked well for you.
Yeah, well, I do think like your question is when I'm doing solo music rather than collaborations, right?
I would say collaborative as well, but I think more so the idea is that you're releasing it independently as opposed to with a label.
Indeed. So yeah, like I'd say just like the TikTok sort of suite, the YouTube short stuff, that's really actually helped me get like comments and thoughts on my music, but it does sometimes require like doing teaser trailers and stuff like that. But I think just in this situation, trust that whoever is watching this, they will, if they appreciate it, they will like, receive it in a nice way. And I'm thinking musicians are mostly the chillest people I've ever met. So I don't think many people, if like, are going to be mad that you're posting your music online. I think it's really just like overcome this, like it's an opportunity. So you could take it if you want to like promote your music in this way. And I think right now that's where people are having more genuine connections. So I'd say like whether in a community in physical space or like an online forum or like Reddit or like TikTok and such, I do think like people are craving genuine connection. So as long as you're vulnerable with your music and telling your message in the right way, people will see it eventually if you post enough shorts, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And you kind of mentioned the connections piece, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to go into next for us, which is like, you seem to have done a really, because we met, and for everybody who hasn't already, episode 1 is with Jacuzzi Jefferson. And that's how we met, was an intro through him. And so, because he's also based in New York. And so can you speak a little bit about the way that the impact that kind of networking in real life has had and like meeting other people and supporting other people in the community?
Yeah, I do think it's like music is incredible because it is like a facility that allows you to focus 100% on your desires or like make music and completely what you want as an individual, which I think every individual is an endless river of information and compassion and all this kind of stuff. But when you find other people like that, yeah, that's just amazing. And I like had moments in my college, Berkeley College of Music, where I like just had like a singer friend of mine, like we're just like working on this beat, and like I come up with something and they come up with something, and we're just stunned at like how music is so universally awesome, and you can like learn a lot about what you like, what kind of like techniques you want to apply, and you can get very technical with your friends that like know so much. And so I'd say like encouragement from others is the huge part about community in this music world. And then also like Henry Tajfel from 1971, the psychology guy, the psychologist said that everybody basically needs to have a human connection in life. So that's like you can feel like you're not like the most social, but at the same time, you trust the people that you trust, So I just have been lucky to find and have found techniques to find music communities around the city and in Mexico City, which is one of my new favorite cities. And I do believe that like electronic music is cool because it doesn't require internet most of the time unless you just splice through other resources like that. But it is online when you want it to be. So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think the encouragement piece is so big. I mean, I know that so many people just like being able to meet them, whether it's on person or in line, in person or online, has helped me so much, just like feel more connected to something, and has definitely helped me improve. How have you gone about, you mentioned like sort of things that you've done to meet those people out there. What have you done? How were you able to connect with people like Jacuzzi out in the community?
Jacuzzi, well, I have to credit my label associated act. Sonderhaus is the name of it. Sonderhaus is a label that's in upstate New York. Kyle McAvoy, he's the proprietor of the label, a close personal friend of mine. He like hosts meetups, and that's a really dope ass thing because you can go into like this huge house and like it's a very online thing. So like find these labels through Instagram, and you can go to like an opportunity he had set up, but going to upstate New York and just having producers in a room, everybody just having their own like amazing talents. And then you kind of fuse that thing, how you would fuse a weapon in Legend of Zelda, like basically the items, you would make them stronger, like by combining forces. And I do think that that's been really cool. So Sonderhaus, I would shout out there. Originally, like this label called Night Owl Collective. I just found them on SoundCloud. There's like a lot of players that like, if you're in a city, you might find somebody who lives close to you. And if you're like somewhere in a very open space, I'm sure you'd like have like at least, because a lot of these labels are huge. So you'll definitely find people in the community that live close to you. But I'd say like, just don't be afraid to like say hi and express yourself to people that you feel cool in your life and influential, and you'll thank yourself later.
I would encourage anybody listening who's like kind of on the fence or maybe hasn't, to really find a way to start putting yourself out there, sharing your music and connecting with other artists, because it really does. I don't know, it changes the way that things look and feel in my experience.
Your experience is correct, man.
How do you think about, who or what may work well when you're thinking about collaborating on a song?
Yeah, well, I'm a guitarist mainly. I think it's good to work with people that play piano. I think it's good to like work with people that it's kind of tough because it's good to work with people that are also the same instrument as you. So you can see like either micro, macro differences you guys have. I'd say look for a contrast and then try and see if that could be helpful. A lot of people I just really resonate with. There's like no way to describe what some people's music do for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for me, I just feel like this sensation, like vibration in my chest. And I would say like I'll find those people that communicate that. But yeah, like for me, I'm more of a guy that likes intricate details in music, jazzy chords. And so like I'll just see about people's Instagrams on Spotify and I'll just like see if they're like somebody that would be interested in my music and then reach out perhaps. But I do think like just find your influences and find your like people that like inspired them and see if like there's an appropriate dynamic. But I just think that like music connects all and it's not the platforms that connect like as much as music, basically.
I like that. It's the music. And it's interesting. I mean, so it's cool because I feel like what you just said kind of it includes like definitely like a logical element to it. Like, does this make sense? But also it sounds like at the core of it, there's really a paying attention to the feeling that you get from other people's music and letting that kind of guide you towards what could be fun or interesting in terms of collaboration.
You're right, man. I do think that like there are two sides to it. There's like maybe it's a left brain, right brain thing, but I think that there's two like, and this is kind of spiritual. I do think that there's two sides of yourself that you're serving, like the emotional and the rational, and you need to be able to contain both in the songs that you want to like hold up on your discography, I think.
What do you think are some things we could do to be good collaborators?
I think, yeah, just being honest with what you can provide and what you can't, or what you think you can reasonably expect. And then also like just listening a little bit more to what, like for me, I think when I'm listening to the other person talk, when they're explaining their choices in music, it makes complete sense almost 100% of the time. And maybe when it doesn't, I'm being an artist. So maybe that's my choice. And maybe it could possibly be better for a given like, beat idea here or there. But I think, yeah, just listening, being honest, and then like the timeline, because we do move through time. So it's important to make sure the scheduling is okay.